Hey guys, Coach Dan here. We have our last workout of the week is a back workout, a pull workout today. So that's like a little bit of a reward after all the hard efforts of the week. Nice little back workout to finish us off. So yesterday, leg workout, legs are already jacked up, hamstrings, glutes, quads. Normally my soreness kind of comes a couple of days later, a bit of a delayed onset muscle soreness is usually how I roll, but these are straight into it. So that was nice. It's a good feeling to know that you've done some work. So pull workout today. We cap off the week strong. Happy with this week. Kind of maintain my effort and intensity throughout the week, and I kind of want to do that again this week. And that's been a big focus of mine recently is, every single set heading into it with a decent amount of intensity. Like not headbutting a wall intensity, but, getting in there and like just getting yourself set before the set starts even and kind of reminding yourself throughout the set to kind of like put in a decent effort here. For me, it's using a little bit of aggression and probably a little bit of anger, you'd even call it, to just make the set really good. Obviously, technique stays sound the whole time and all that kind of stuff, but on top of that, grit the teeth and make it hard, get in there and make it really challenging. And yeah, it's been working, not getting too fatigued from it, so it's something I'll continue on. It's just, you get into a little bit of the zone or however it is that you get yourself fired up or aroused, excited to smash that set. For me, it's anger. Just, I call myself some names and stuff like that beforehand. And it sounds a bit bizarre, but it works for me. So that's a strategy I'm going to keep going with. Yeah, technique's always got to stay the same, obviously, and you're not thrashing around. I wouldn't. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't. You keep the same technique within reason, and then put that effort on top. And for me, that's a muscle growth recipe to follow for sure. All right, back workout today. So starting with a bit of upper back work, working into lats, biceps to finish, and then we are into the weekend. Let's go get our first rowing movement. Is a horizontal upper back row. I'll show you how we make it nice and upper backy. Let's go. Right, to begin with, we're going with this neutral grip upper back row. Well, this could be done with an overhand grip. This has that ability. Chest supported. Now, to make things a little bit more upper backy, you're taking your arms away from the body. If you think about the job of the lat is essentially pulling your arm down or around in towards your spine. If you've ever seen lats on like a model or a picture or whatever it might be, they kind of tuck in under the armpit and go in towards the spine and then down towards the rib cage. So they're usually best leverage when the arm is close to the body from different positions like that. Now, if we want to make something upper backy, usually we'll take our arms away from the body a little bit, because for me to continue the motion as I continue doing the pulling, the shoulders have to then move to continue the range or to continue the exercise basically. So if I'm latty, I go close and again, we're not like exclusively saying upper back's not going to work and then lats aren't going to work. We're just trying to make it more biased to one versus the other. So arms away from the body a little bit, squeeze of the shoulder blades usually works. So we take a neutral grip here, we get the chest support and we use the chest support to let the shoulders roll forward, and then we're driving those shoulders back. Control the forward, big stretch, drive them back. So for this one, arm away from the body a little bit, arms or shoulders kind of wrapping around that way to keep the movement going. And then you'll see when we do lat stuff later, arms are staying close, so lats can be the dominant mover. All right, let's rock and roll, let's get jacked up, let's hit it. Upper back rows there felt good. So if we think about the traps or upper back traps, multiple muscles in the upper back firstly, but even if we zoom in on the traps for a second, even within the same muscle, there would appear that there is multiple jobs that that muscle does. So if you think about the traps being like a diamond shaped muscle up the back, kind of coming into the bottom of your skull, fanning out and then coming back in towards your spine, it'll do different things like moving the shoulder up like such, like shrugs, back, and then also depressing the shoulders, so shoulder blade should I say, so bringing them down and rotating them down like that. So when we train that muscle, potentially we should do all of those jobs to make it grow somewhat evenly overall. So with that in mind, if I started over there with this horizontal row, this one here, it looks, if you just look at the same thing, you think, all right, he's just doing the same shit. But what I'm gonna do to make this a little bit different is lean back a little bit. And if I lean back, essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna angle it slightly up, whereas that one came pretty much horizontal and even comes horizontal and dips down. So that row, retraction of the shoulder blades. This row, slight elevation. So it's not like a complete shrug, but it kind of gets more towards the upper part of the traps. So it looks something like this, like just your standard seated row setup. I have this grip that has my hands over. I think there could be multiple grips that work here, but I found this one to work pretty well. I'll kind of get set, lean back, find that spot. Same idea for the traps. We want to let the shoulders roll forward, and that should stretch out the traps because part of their job is retracting the scapula or the shoulder blade. So we lean back slightly, so it's going up a little bit. And yeah, it's not a complete shrug. It's not like we're here doing this, but we are angled such that it might be towards the upper part of the traps. All right, let's carry on. We're going good. Make sure I get fiery before each set, so it's good level of intensity. Let's go. All right, so next up we have a pull down variation. Now, what I am working on personally with my back training is what's called lengthened partials towards the end of the set. So what you'll find with pull training and some other muscle groups, but pull training is one that's quite prominent, is that we're often we're often weaker in the finished position or the shortened position. So I'm doing rows, right, from before, and I fail. I can't get it to here, but it doesn't mean I can't get a few more reps in, it just can't get it all the way. That's what she said. So in that situation, potentially, it might have some merit to kind of go and do some partials in this lengthened position, and therefore, yeah, get closer to failure, get more exposure to the tension and more exposure to that stretch position. So yeah, I can't get it all the way to here, but it doesn't mean I can't get, 3 to 5 reps through that half range and potentially go closer to failure and make it, more stimulus. So that's something I'm working on. It doesn't feel right to me yet, as far as I haven't been practicing it for a long period of time. So I kind of feel like I've always been a big full range of motion person. So to kind of stop and it's almost like a different technique altogether. So it's just taking some practice and doesn't feel perfectly right on all lifts. Anyway, with that in mind, so far we've done our horizontal row. We've done that lean back row to kind of work a bit more of the upper traps or towards the upper traps. Now we're going to do a pull down, but we're going to do this pull down mostly targeted towards the lower part of the upper back now, right? So we've had this, and now we're going to have this. So again, this is now kind of the downward motion of the scapulars we're trying to train, and I'll show you that. So when people do pull downs, they kind of synonymously think of them as lat training, but depending on how we do it, we can make it a little bit more upper back, depending on our hand position, handle even, positioning of our body and all that kind of stuff. So if I want to do a pull down for the upper back, I'll take some form of overhand grip, I'll lean back a touch, I'll let the shoulders elevate, and then I will depress the shoulders as well. Aiming high on my chest so it is the shoulder blades moving. Now on my other back day, I do a neutral grip pull down where we're here, and that's intended to be lat dominant. So again, arms coming away from the body for me to continue the movement. There has to be this kind of movement of the shoulders and scapulars, but in here I can make it such that it's just the shoulder moving and just focusing on the lat. So yeah, to be fair with this one, I'm still working it out a little bit, so I don't exactly know how to standardize my position and stuff like that. I don't know where my position 100% should be, so I'm sort of figuring it out. Been doing it for 2 or 3 weeks now, so I'll get there eventually. All right. Okay, we do this one, and then we go on to some more lat dominant stuff. Feeling good? This is gonna be a good one. This will set us up for the weekend. Single arm lat pull down variation now. So this one actually comes on quite a unique angle. Lots of people these days will roll a bench over to like a cable machine and kind of get in that, because it does feel really nice and effective. And again, if we're thinking about your lats, they're a combination of like some of the fibers coming in underneath your sort of armpit area, kind of going in towards the spine, and then some come down towards your hip, essentially, or the top of your hip. So potentially to work from like this angle, good, this angle, good, and then horizontal, pretty good as well. So you can do them all. And this one kind of comes out on that. Yeah, it's probably not exactly 45. I'm not good with angles, I don't think. I don't know, 50, 60, something like that. It's kind of like out in that direction there. So, but it feels effective, and you don't have to go to a bench, and we can lock in on this thing, and the resistance is pretty good. So what we'll do is we'll grab a handle. For me, I want to lock one knee in under this. I'll kind of lean back, I'll line up with the cable machine, and again, pulling in that same line that the cable machine is going. So once I kind of find that angle, I just pull in line with that. So I'm going directly against the resistance. Single arm, yeah, you could do this on the cable machine where you roll the thing over and get the angle that feels good for you, and potentially over the course of time work different angles on the cable machine and stuff like that. Might be good. Or you simply find the one that feels good for you and fucking nail that and get really strong at that. Go horizontal ones, you know, out here, anything in between. Again, as long as it feels good for you and feels effective, I don't see anything wrong with those. All right, so a couple of lat exercises here. As always, in my breaks between things, I'm looking at machines, or how can I fuck around with that to make that good and stuff like that. So our next exercise, I should stick to the program. Or maybe not. Okay, let's get into it. All right, we're going a unusual seated row variation here. We call this a flexion row. Now the flexion row is going to involve me actively flexing my whole back, whereas a standard neutral grip row, which is what I've got here, I've got the little neutral grip thing like this, would just involve you kind of going to town like this. Good exercise, but I like a flexion row for this portion of my workout. This is kind of, I think it's my last back exercise for the week, and I'm just going to get the whole back moving. So what it looks like, I'll give you a demo, and then we can kind of have a powwow about why I do it. So I'll kind of lock in like a standard seated row, but I'll actively flex my whole spine, get a big hectic stretch in my lats, and then do the seated row component. That's business as usual. So what we've got here, this is not just now a lat exercise, but the fact that my whole spine is flexing is going to use some of the other muscles in my back, which, being the last movement of the week, I'm not mad at. The other thing I really like about this one is that nice big stretch, real nice on the lat. So if I just went here, and I don't mind this as a seated row variation, just like this, I think that's still pretty good, but this, real nice. So big lat stretch, moving the whole back, finishing it off for the week. Pretty good, really like. So been doing this one for a couple of months now, and I'm happy with it. I have been progressing like a sack of shit, but that's okay. Feels effective. It's the last movement, so we're just finishing things off. All right, let's get it done. Okay, before anyone out there gives me a hard time for doing a lateral deltoid exercise on a back day or a pull day, hear me out. Programming wise, I don't do a shoulder day. So usually the shoulder work comes in on the push days. Yeah, push, shoulders kind of go in there. But for me, that doesn't really allow too much room for extra, like heaps of shoulder work or lateral deltoid work specifically. So as far as programming work, for me to get a little extra volume in here, it's coming on my back day. Now, for me, that works okay because my last push day was 2 days ago. Push, lower pull, a little bit of a modified version of that. And this kind of goes on that day. Oh, sorry, shoulder work so far has gone on the push days, but this is the last training session of the week. And if I want to get that little bit of extra shoulder work in, this is really the only day to slot it in, you know, programming wise. So before I get a blasting from the people, that's kind of my rationale. It means I do 4 or 5 sets on both my push days of like a lateral raise or a lateral delt movement. Jeez, if I can get my words straight here. And then on this day, I throw a lateral delt in as well as a rear delt, because this is a pulling work and the rear delt already gets a bit jacked up. So there's my rationale. Love it or hate it, underdogs on top.
That's a 50 quote. Okay, so this is a really cool lateral deltoid machine. Actually, maybe my favorite that I've ever tried. The angle is such that it kind of angles off like straight at the camera. So if I'm facing this way, it kind of is going about 45, or the scapular plane, which usually feels pretty nice. Lots of the machines, even there is one here where it has the pads on the side and it's going directly out to the side. Now that's okay because you can simply move your arm in front and kind of angle like this, but the machine goes in that direction anyway, so it's pretty sweet. So all of the variations are the same. All of the technique cues are the same. Control the way down, feel the delt, raise up, control, raise up. Really trying to get engaged with that muscle, feeling it pull my arm up and out to the side, and nothing else. So I'll do a pretty high rep range here, so it'll be 10 to 20 probably for the first set, shooting to the top end of that, and then fatigue over the course of the sets kind of brings them down a little bit lower usually. All right, yeah, so we'll be here for a while. Let's get rolling. Let's get into set one, get these delts jacked up. We're going isolation biceps for a few sets here. Now we've got the machine preacher curl. I quite like the preacher curl. Now, theoretically, because this has our bicep already in a kind of pre-shortened position, because the bicep's also a shoulder flexor, that this might not theoretically be as effective as, say, our incline curls and stuff like that. And there is some direct research behind these things these days, and it's kind of, it's not conclusive either way. So in my mind, and there potentially is some regional difference in hypertrophy. So doing like a dumbbell incline curl where your arm's behind the body versus a preacher curl like such, they might have growth in different areas of the bicep. And therefore I think it makes sense to do both over the course of time, not in one workout, not even in the same program, but over the course of time. So I go with the machine preacher curl. There's a preacher bench over there. You can do dumbbells, bar, easy bar, any of that kind of shit. Maybe there's reason that those are good as well, because the resistance is such that it's harder in the stretch position and easier in the short position. But whatever, I like this. Setup's easy. I don't have too much juice left in me, so I like to just get on the machine and go. So there's two different ones here, but I like this one so far. So we get essentially the back of the elbow towards the edge of the pad here, so my arm is kind of stretching over the pad. I'll kind of sit down, it'll come up, and then we're there. I like the doing preacher curls or some sort of curl with stability or support. Just that stability just lets you go to town. So something where your arm is on a bench and we can just give it some, right? Whereas, yeah, if we're doing like a dumbbell curl or an incline curl on the bench, nothing to kind of stabilize your elbow against and push into. And I think stability does matter a little bit because, yeah, if you think about things where you're unstable, you often perform worse than when you are stable on that same thing. As an example, like if you were to try and do like a dumbbell shoulder press standing versus seated, just check the difference in the weight that you can lift. And again, it's not all about weight, but that's the only difference between those two movements is, yeah, stability or standing or seating. So yeah, I find it at least worthwhile part of the time to get yourself some stability and just like smash it out. Can't really cheat it because it won't allow me to move and shape my body. Like maybe I could lean back and shit, but I certainly can't move that pad. So, all right, what are we gonna do here? Maybe 4 or 5 sets, jack up the biceps, and we are at the back end of things. This is a Saturday workout for me, so I get up early. It's quite peaceful to get up early on Saturday for me. Family's usually not up till a little bit later on a Saturday, so I can get in, get it done, spend some time, have some fun, muck around. If I want to muck around with anything, I've got that little bit of extra time usually on the Saturday workout, so I use it. But, you know, I can't stay here all day. All right, let's get into it, eh? Okay, so my rear delt exercise for today in isolation is going to be this chest bench supported rear delt pull across variation. So with all of our back movements, the rowing movements, the rear delts are all kind of helping in that, but in none of them are they really the limiting factor. Like, do I feel them as if they are the muscle group that is failing me on those exercises? So for me, it is just maybe a bit of an insurance policy to cap it off with a couple sets here to make sure they are the limiter. So in this particular variation, I've got this cable machine. Now I use this on my other back day as a single arm variation, but I'm gonna go a double arm variation with the chest support today, just as a variation. I haven't seen this done before, but I have my rationale. So I'm in this position here, use the bench for stability, pulling across the body like such. So a good thing about doing it this way is that I can cross the body. So on a lot of the pec flies, there's a pec fly and a rear delt component. So the machine over there, you can do this, but there's limited by the range. Now with this one, the 2 cables, I can come across like that, get a bigger stretch in the deltoid. I can also move the bench forward such that it's pulling me back that way, making it hard at the beginning resistance-wise. So I like that. I like the bench stabilization, so I can just go to town on the rear delt. So I think maybe I might, if I do one particular height on the other day, I might do a different height on this day, just again to target it from different positions, but I don't think that's worth losing sleep over, but I will. All right, 2 sets. Okay, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. Pleased with that one. There. I think that workout's pretty close to how it should be. It's a longer one, more volume, but again, it's a time of the week where I do have more volume, so I can do this on a Saturday on a weekend and not affect the rest of my life too much. My daughter will still get fathered. My wife will still get husband. So those are good things because those are probably important, you would think. Nah, pretty good. Happy across the board. I think, yeah, potentially somewhere in here, maybe we could chop a set off or something like that. My energy levels as I get to the preacher curl is a bit low. But again, maybe I just got to grind it up, stop being a little bitch sometimes and just get myself into it, re-fired up and just kind of smash it out. But all in all, I am happy with all of that. Felt good. My back feels jacked up. My back feels as if like, you know, I am like 3 times as big as when I before I started the workout, but I know the progress that I made is probably minuscule. So, but you know, I'm going to go with the feeling, not the logic in this one. So, last workout of the week, let's keep rolling. I've had 3 or 4 really good weeks back to back with progression and feeling good and smashing it out and all that kind of stuff. So we'll just keep riding the wave until we need a change or the fatigue kicks in too high and maybe take a deload and stuff like that. Just pay attention to how I feel now versus, you know, how I feel as time goes on. Just keep crushing. I'm loving it. It's very good. So as always, guys, there's a little subscribe button up here. If you want to smash that, it would be very much appreciated. If you want to continue to watch some more content of how I'm training some other muscle groups, it's in this playlist over here. And remember, as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.